What's going on, everybody? I am your host, Nat, and you are tuned into the Nat Fitness Method, where we take facts above fiction and manifest your dreams to reality. The point of the Nat Fitness Method is designed to transform the lives of anyone looking to reach their potential. We do that by first using modalities of fitness, food, and health. And then we use other health practices to first get a hold of the mind and then the body, ultimately, so that way we can help people improve their lives and their future. So my goal with guests are to be able to provide you through the storytelling and direct strategies that are going to empower you to do the exact same in your life and move from where you are into optimizing and living your potential. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest right here. He's got us hooked up here to a wonderful, wonderful Saline vitamin cocktail. Cocktail is the key word. I always say drip, but it's a cocktail. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Chaz. Hey. Chaz Faulhaber, but we call him Chaz. My guy, he's a working hand.
Thanks for having me.
How are you feeling, man?
I feel great.
So for those of you, Chaz is COO to Onus IV out here in Denver, Colorado. And he runs this company with his wife, who is over here with their deviled egg.
Yes.
Their son is 7 months. What was his name again? Huck. Yeah. Huck. He's going to be a deviled egg. In case you guys are watching this is around Halloween. So I'm really excited because we want to talk about things that ultimately are really taboo or unfamiliar that people don't have experience around that could ultimately benefit them. So Chaz, the Nat Fitness Method really seeks out people like you because being in the fitness and the health industry, I feel like there's so much information out there that it almost becomes overwhelming, right? And so people don't really know exactly what they should listen to, and they find themselves either doing nothing because it's the death by perfection, like I have to get it right, or they just get intimidated, or they try something and it doesn't work after a few days and then they decide to stop. So coming into something that really is almost, I want to say, a created industry, how did you guys decide from the very beginning that this was something that could potentially work? How did that come to fruition?
For us, it was, well, if you've ever had an IV before, it's the kind of thing you'd get at a hospital typically. But it's like a little secret that's been around in the military, fire departments, nurses have been doing this, doctors do this for the last 50 years. If you were ever not feeling great, whether because you were partying too much or because you were coming down with a cold or a flu, or if you're here in Colorado and you've just got altitude sickness, people were giving themselves IVs if they had the means to. We had the opportunity in Las Vegas. In our end, it was on a mountain bike race out in Bootleg Canyon when we were done riding our bikes. And we had heard you can actually rehydrate yourself with an IV here in Vegas. And so we tried it out. Everyone else is there hungover in their Vegas clothes and we're covered in dust and just like, what is this? And I remember looking out the window and I saw this mountain and I was like, I'm ready to ride that mountain again, which is usually you're done with your race. You just want to go home, kind of like you were saying, you know, when you're getting ready for the event and then it happens and then you're just done. It's kind of like it peters out. I was ready to go immediately after that. So took about 8 months of saving up, quit my job, and we started as a mobile unit rolling around, and one thing led to another.
And now you have 5 stores.
5 stores.
4 stores, 5th one opens December 1st. Castle Rock.
Yep, yes sir.
Awesome stuff. So I'm really excited about that, and if we can quickly just go to reiterate this, because it's not uncommon now to come to Denver, Colorado and see one of your 5 stores or to see other competitors, right? However, this wasn't something that was very apparent if you weren't in, you know, the paramedics or an EMT or in the hospitals. And so you first got this idea for people who were, like you said, in Vegas. And so to take something that didn't exist and make it something that is going to be beneficial to other people, what was your genuine focus for how you guys were going to do that, how you're going to implement it.
Well, when you're looking at everyone in Vegas using this, there's immediately a reactive moment, like I have been partying, I am now hungover, I don't want to be. Whereas what we were doing was kind of the same thing, but the more we started incorporating this into our life, if you were to prehydrate with it, then you could avoid muscle pain and muscle cramping. This is actually something 24 of the 32 NFL teams do at halftime. They'll get 2 liters of fluid just to prevent that. So for us, that's where the name Onus came from. Onus means burden of responsibility by definition, but if you look at it to us, it's personal responsibility. So I know you know, that if you don't put in the work and if you don't prepare, you will not perform. And that's right in line with what onus means. It's that the onus is on you to take care of yourself and to prepare yourself.
I find that so fascinating. And so one question that I have as a whole is, you were just talking about the fact that NFL teams will obviously use this. And so again, behind closed doors, this is something that is extremely beneficial, or it could be beneficiary to somebody. But for the average Joe, somebody who's working out, and again, I know this because this is just one of the conversations I have in the fitness world with the average person. Most people underhydrate. They undernourish their bodies by putting in poor food or just being, just not being cognizant of it. And so how much, like what's the correlation to the average Joe in using a product like this?
Well, I think of it like a tool in your toolbox. In your world, is there anything that you came across that now you know when to use it anytime you're getting ready for a big event, like when you were going to Daytona? Was there something that you had to pack in your suitcase?
Absolutely.
What was that?
Well, we had to pack our suits for the show. There's a couple things that we had to pack to make sure we were able to pump up. And then there's actually a couple of kitchen items that we needed to have regardless of where we were, so that way we could make sure we have our food.
Right.
Just to name a few.
Okay. Well, then you know what all those are. This would be like one of those tools that you would use in your life for whatever's going on. That's how I see it, I don't see this as something people would use every time they're hungover, because that would get expensive. But there's a moment when you'll know when to use us, whether it's getting ready for a trip or you finish, you maybe come back from a trip and you were talking about jet lag. A Myers cocktail can knock out jet lag, or at least help knock it out. So there are moments of need and want, for sure.
That's remarkable. So one thing I want to address is that when people come in here, again, they just think that they're going to get a saline solution, which is fine. And again, just for those who don't know, what is a fundamental saline solution? What does that actually mean?
So saline's at 0.9% sodium. That's the same osmolarity as the plasma in your cells. So we are, at the very minimum, rehydrating your body on a cellular level. Benefit of that is that when you infuse vitamins or amino acids in there, you get a direct infusion. A good way to think about it is if you eat something, you're getting about 30% of that food's potential. It's only absorbing about 30%. Intravenous, bypassing the GI system, you're getting, I don't want to say 100% because nothing is 100%, but a complete absorption, close to 100%.
This is essentially what you're talking about is the bioavailability.
Yes. Correct. This, when you were talking about the word optimization earlier, that's 100% what we're going for here. Optimization.
So the equivalent to that, and again, talking with the team member who hooked us up, thanks buddy for the bag, by the way. We were talking about when you can go to a supermarket, you can buy a supplement off a shelf, right? I'm going to get some vitamin C. And that's a very common thing, especially approaching, the flu season, the holidays, and people want to protect their immune system. Well, if they go and they take that 1,000 milligram vitamin C, the truth be told, that's not USDA regulated. And we actually don't know for sure what that could be. And then like you said, to ingest it and have that to move through the gut doesn't mean that our body's necessarily going to absorb all of it, or even that it's going to do what it necessarily did. Whereas if they come here and they choose any of the different cocktails, which we'll get into in a second, then like you said, it's not quite 100%, but you're bypassing that and it's getting into the bloodstream for sure. So it's a way more efficient way to optimize your health.
I would say at the end of the day, if you're going to do something and you want to just make sure that you're getting every possible benefit from the amount of money you're spending on it, I'd say this is one of the best things you can do. Obviously, I would say that as an owner in the company, but try this at any IV clinic, and that's the benefit, is a complete absorption where you need it most.
Well, I like that, you use the word cocktail, because almost any person can relate to that when it comes to ordering an actual cocktail at a bar, right? And so, you can talk to your bartender and get, all your different fixings. Well, could you hold this? Or even at Starbucks, right? People have the craziest Starbucks orders. It is hilarious. Well, when you come here, explain how you guys decided to create some of just the fundamental brands and how they're different. For instance, you asked me really about my goals before we actually figured out what sort of infusions we were going to put in my bag. So what's the benefit to that?
Well, it's part of that proactive approach, We're going to help you make the choice as to what you want to do. So all the employees are here to see exactly what I was asking, like, how's your week going? What's the best bang for your buck, honestly? Because if you come in hungover, there's a pretty clear want. It's like, I don't want to feel this way. But if you're looking at it from like the long-term view, there's so many things we can do. That's when we were talking about NAD. That's when you're talking about glutathione. Bring your goals.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. So, to, obviously put this in the summary, even though this is something that people may not have a very conscientious or a very clear understanding, we know that curiosity is a great pathway to help optimize their life or for people to discover passions. And this could be something, again, like you said, that's not used all the time, that could be extraordinarily beneficial if you're in an emergency situation like you're hungover and you need to kind of get back to homeostasis.
Give me my day back.
Give me my day back. Give me my life back, right? My bad decisions from yesterday.
Right.
But the bigger picture is that we're really empowering people to focus on one, preventing. I guess the frank way of saying it is that we're really trying to step into preventative, issues regarding healthcare, and with that, we want people to focus on ways that they could optimize their life, and this good decision is going to lead to
the next good decision. And that's Onus. One good decision leads to the next. So
that's it, buddy.
Yeah, that's what we're all about here, and there's a variety of things we could talk about in terms of the supplements or in terms of, I don't know, what's been new, but yeah, that's what we're up to.
Well, I think as a whole, that's a very high-level general overview, but I think this gives people a good understanding, because it's one of those things that the average person doesn't have the benefit of necessarily going next door and doing, but clearly almost everyone can go anywhere within their city and they can check this out.
Definitely becoming a thing in I'd say all major cities. We've helped a ton of companies start up. Not threatened by anybody. People come, they tour around our facility. They just want to see how this works. We're starting a regulation with the other IV clinics. So yeah, there's probably one in your city, and they probably are ready to help you out.
This is obviously one of those questions that's probably fundamental, but I think it's extremely important. Who is this for? Who is this not for?
So I would say this is for healthy adults. This is not for people who are seeking some sort of a detox or some sort of like prescriptive need. So if you have a serious issue that is typically resolved through some form of IV therapy, this is usually in the addiction realm. That's not what we're here to do. Those are places you go because there's more going on than just things in a saline bag. Now, who is this for? Let's say you just got back from a big trip. You just won a big competition. You're talking about jet lag. You're like, but I have clients on Tuesday that are going to need me on Monday. So you fly in, maybe you show up here at 10 a.m., you kick back, bring in your headphones, and you go to work right here while you boost your body back so that you can just get right back into the best week possible. That'd be a great use for us. What else? If you have a bachelor party, come pre-hydrate. Skip the hangover the next day. That's a great way to use us. And we had a group of 10 in here the other day just doing exactly that. And that's what I love, because if it's the hangover thing, 10 people hungover in a room, literally smells like the worst place ever. It's like no one wants to be here, no one enjoys this, and it's expensive. It takes a lot to bring you back. So take care of yourself. It's our old logo used to actually be a shell because you got to protect your shell, you know? I think you're always trying to find ways to convince people that they should be taking care of themselves, but like you were saying, you know, sometimes people don't want to do the work. They don't want to make the healthy choice, and that's frustrating. You put your effort into people and you just hope that it comes back.
You want the individual for sure to care more about their goal, and it's one of the blatant things that I'll have with a conversation with just about every single client. My job is not to care more about your goal than you do.
Right.
And
that's a great way to say that.
And the easiest way is that actions always tell all, right? You want to understand a person, or you want true authenticity, judge the actions, not the words, right? And so I love that, man. I love exactly what you're saying. So I have some questions for you. This is awesome stuff. You know, I think this is going to be, right up the alley of the mission of the company and what you and your wife have been able to do here. So the first question is, what do you believe is something simple that we as people can alter on the day-to-day that can have a huge and lasting impact regarding your health, your wellness, and that good decision-making philosophy that Onus is all about?
I know you know what I'm going to say, but I think people need to get bored again. I've been loving this whole concept. So every day you wake up, you probably look at your phone, and then you go look at your computer, and then you go look at your Kindle, or you go do something that involves a screen, right? TV. Then you got to get the kids to daycare, or then you got to get to work. There's this frenetic environment that we like to build around ourselves under the hustle mentality, you know, where it's go, 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 work, 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 make it happen, right? And I think the more I've been reading about it, when people experience a lack of creativity or a lack of self-worth, is that their mind hasn't been given a moment to rest. They think that's what sleep is for. But actually, if you really think about it, if you're always in a state of duress, then when does your brain have time to not think? So I would say the number one thing people should be doing to help themselves is let themselves have 15 to 20 minutes of absolute complete boredom, to the point where they just sit and stare at a wall until it annoys you. And then maybe you'll notice something that you didn't notice before about that wall, or maybe look out the window and you never noticed the way a certain tree was growing in your own backyard. You have to take time. I mean, people do this through meditation, but I think boredom is another way to say it. Because remember when I was a little kid and I was bored in the summer? That's when you come up with all the fun stories for your G.I. Joe characters, you know? You're like, you know what? This guy's going to lose his leg, and he's going to save him, and this is the story.
Imagination just takes off, man. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Constriction.
What I love about that is it's one of the most powerful ways personally to connect and ultimately see how you feel about yourself. And I think so many times it's easy to focus on stimulation because it directs people away from that. So I love that, getting bored, but having the intentionality behind it where you're removing yourself from anything that could become a distraction. So that's great, man.
Let's. We're all done actually with the drips. So how do you feel at the moment?
I feel incredible. I feel incredible.
That was 28 minutes.
20 minutes and now my feet are literally tingling. Yeah. I have all this great energy. So this is wonderful.
That's the full gamut, which is pretty cool. It doesn't take long.
That was awesome, man.
Sweet.
Second question. What does risk-taking truly mean to you? And I ask that because you've always had a passion for the outdoors. You quit your job to open up something that really was not a passion from the start, but it became a passion through experience. Where does that come from?
I don't. What's the alternative? You know, sometimes risk is not about what's in front of you; it's what's behind you. You know, it's not like I ever hated my old jobs, but when I was really getting excited about this was the freedom of it. You know, I guess behind risk and fear is probably a better version of yourself if you really think about things. You know, if you really look at what's going on in your own life and you're like, oh man, I would love to be a extreme mountain biker or a awesome skier, but I'm really afraid of heights. Well, then fear is like a roadmap then, in that regard, you know? It's like all the tools you need to become the next version of yourself, they might be based in fears that you just aren't willing to face and overcome. So when it comes to risk-taking for me, I don't know, it seems exciting more than anything. It's like, ooh, I know that's risky, but what else is there, I guess?
The room for potential. I love that.
There is always room for potential in that.
I love that, man. Great answer.
Cool.
Great answer. I have one more question, but before we get into that, I want to really acknowledge you and your team for hosting myself and hosting Wes, and for giving us your time and your just overall candor. I think what you've done and what people like you do is you take something and you see opportunity and you figure out how to package it in such a way that could be an asset and a tool and truly impact other people's lives. You know, your mission statement for making one good decision and how that compounds. I think everyone understands that in one way or another. Yeah. Because if they make one bad decision, they usually understand how that's going to impact the rest of their day to day. And you and your team and your wife have been able to be healers, men, and really true servants. And so I want to acknowledge you and connect you. Really quick, for anybody that might have any curiosity about learning more about IV therapy, infusions, what might be right for them, or in general, just learning more about the company, how can they connect with you, or how can they connect with the organization?
Likely best through all of our digital assets. If you're in the Denver area, of course, come on in. You can always have a chat. We're here to help you find what you want because it's what we want, and we know how to help you get there. Wonderful. So yeah, go online, check us out on Instagram. We're pretty active on that. Otherwise, stop in if you can, or give us a call.
So we'll loop all that information on the show notes so you guys can definitely see that. And here is my last question for you, cool. Chaz. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I want you to picture yourself standing on a stage in a room with a microphone. Okay. And that microphone is tied to a screen, and on the other side of that screen is every single face of everyone on the planet. If you had approximately 1 minute to deliver a message of anything that you would want to convey, what would that message be to the world?
Oh, that's so hard.
Now you know why I didn't want to tell you it before. I
got an idea.
Get you on the side.
I got these buttons here.
Yeah.
On these chairs. We could relax.
Yeah, relax a little bit.
Let's see that. There we go. Okay.
Your thinking chair.
Now we're thinking about what do you say to the entire planet?
1 minute.
Oh, that's tough. That's really tough. Well, because you don't want to preach to people.
You can say whatever you need to say. Maybe people need some preaching.
Oh, man. That is such a tough question. I guess if I have the opportunity to say something to the entire planet, be good to other people. That's like the golden rule. And that's a great, man, there are so many ways that people say that, but it really does come down to that. It's the golden rule. Treat out others how you want to be treated. When did we lose that, you know? Social media, people say the nastiest things to each other. And it's like, is that really the best you have to give somebody? It's be good to other people. I think that's the best thing you can say to anybody. And hopefully I can instill that in my kid, you know? Be kind. You don't know what people are going through. It's funny when you're absorbed in yourself and you're like, man, I am going through so much. And then you go to Starbucks and they ask you a question, you want to snap, and then you catch yourself. But it's like, man, everyone is going through something, so just be good to other people. I don't know. If I had the opportunity to say something to the planet, it's probably what you got to say.
Wonderful.
Thanks, man.
That is an incredible answer. I think much noted, and definitely something that we need more of. Chaz, you've been an incredible host and an even better guest. Everyone, thank you so much for your time. We hope that Chaz's information can definitely inspire you to dig within yourself and find out what ways you can figure out how to optimize your life. Make sure you guys definitely join me, subscribe to the channel, follow Chaz and everything he's doing here in Onus IV. Till next time, my friends, we look forward to seeing you. Signing off, Nicholas Natt. See you next time.